Andrew Tate, we used to train in the same gym. Amir, his coach, is my coach. And I've met Tommy Robinson at the height of the EDL. He called a meeting. I had to go to it. Muslims, I think rightly so, are paranoid.
Characters like Tommy Robinson, and there's people like Douglas Murray, Nigel Farage, GB News, Talk TV. There's a rise in them now. Have you seen this before?
When I was growing up, skinheads and the National Front was a big thing. It's not new. There's nothing new. Older Pakistani brothers and Bangladeshi brothers will tell you, if they're in their 50s like me, they'll tell you that the National Front in the 70s and 80s was a thing. You know, they were blatantly racist. They hated everything and hated everyone. It is very, very different now. Then it was just about you were black or you were brown. They would use those things as what they hated. Now it's not, I don't think it has much to do with race. I think it's
more to do with religion.
Yeah, it's religious. Yeah, it is religious. But Tommy Robinson, he talks a lot about his troubles in Luton with the Muslim youth, the Muslim gangs. I'm a generation before him. Right. So we had the trouble with the original gang. And that time it was called the BPYP. That I think is an acronym for the Bury Park Youth Posse. They were quite tidy actually as a gang, you know. But we used to have trouble with them all the time. Tommy Robinson's younger than me. He's a convenient fool for the right people.
I've got no nice words to say.
No, I know, but I mean, he's a convenient fool. I mean, if you think that Tommy Robinson's in charge of anything, he's not. He's employed. He's a necessary gaslighter to people that don't know any better. The people that are the real enemies, you don't see them on TikTok and you don't see them on YouTube and you don't see them chucking bricks at the police.
No.
You don't see them ones. Them ones are too smart for that. But they will gaslight thick people or people that are ill-informed, let's say, into doing them type of things. And Farage and Robinson, they're just pawns in that game that they don't control. But if you fixate on them, then that's exactly what they expect and want you to do, is fixate on these characters rather than what's pushing it. Because they're not doing it for free. Now, we've got an alliance of people that are against Muslims or against Islam, okay? It's not really about immigration, because when they voted to come out of Brexit, they all thought they were voting to stop Muslims coming in. So when they talk about immigration, they're talking about Muslim immigration. They're talking about black and brown people that are Muslim coming into this country. They let tens of thousands of Indians in, you know, that are Hindu. The war is a culture war. It's an ideological war. And it just happens to be that most of the people in Islam in this country are of a black and brown color of skin. That will attract racist people that just hook onto that as well. But mainly the problem is that white people will walk down certain areas in their towns and cities, and it's completely different to how it was when they were 10 or 15 years or 20 years ago. They're thinking that their culture and that their way of life is being replaced by this new culture, which is Islam. That's where they stir up and gaslight all this violence and this hatred from you. But there's more at play behind this. We know who's pulling their strings and we know who's paying them.
There's another person that's from Luton, I'm sure you'll know of him, Andrew Tate, and he's recently said some questionable things about Pakistanis and Bangladeshis and immigrants. He has sort of added to this, maybe not intentionally, but he has added to this.
He knows exactly what he's saying. He's not stupid. Yeah, of course he does. Look, come on, man. He's not stupid. He's a very intelligent, sharp man. Very. He's not a stupid person. He's played the social media game.
He's trying to play every group. He's trying to get every group on side.
Look, you have to pick a side here. And if you're a Muslim, you're a Muslim. But what it is when you get new Muslims coming onto social media, and they get, especially if they're white, okay, they tend to get quite a lot of attention. You know, mashallah, brother, good to see you in the deen, and people are happy to see them in a religion. They kind of get carried away with that. And they don't have the knowledge to talk about some of the things that they talk about. Well, most of the things that they talk about. And then they start to say things for effect, you know, to carry on getting the likes and the views and everything else. Now, Andrew Tate, when he became Muslim, I was really concerned. I thought, I just hope he comes off social media now. He has this huge, enormous presence on social media. And now he's Muslim. Every word he says, people are going to hang on it. Like you said, he's trying to please all camps. And you can't. When you're a Muslim, you try and please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you stick to that. Who gets upset is unfortunate, and who doesn't, alhamdulillah. If you can't try and please the people, you'll please nobody. But if you try and please the creator, then the people will be pleased with you anyway. Every time I don't listen to his content. We used to train in the same gym. Amir, his coach, is my coach. And I've met Tommy Robinson at the height of the EDL. We called a meeting in a restaurant in Chili's in Luton. I had to go to it, just 4 of us. I had to do the security for it as well. Now, I'm acquainted with these people, but I was hoping that Andrew Tate wouldn't be vocal when he became Muslim. I thought, bro, just go and live in Dubai. I know he's stuck in Romania, he can't move. I know he can't. Go and live in a Muslim country, spend 3 or 4 years getting settled down, and then come back out. You're too big to talk. And especially if you've got no knowledge. Don't get involved in topics you can't talk about.
I agree. I do think initially when he came out as Muslim, you know, it was a good thing. It encouraged a lot of young boys, a lot of young men to look into Islam. And he does do a lot of good in terms of charity and stuff. I think though, as Muslims, we need to call him out. You have to be careful what you're saying. You're too well known. You've got too much of a following to be saying silly things online and not expect it to happen. have an impact. And unfortunately, some of the things had quite a bad impact.
And I don't want me to sound like I'm anti-Andrew Tate. At the same time, when you speak about Islam, it's a big thing. It's a huge responsibility. This is something that prophets and scholars do. You have to be knowledgeable in that field to talk about it even a little bit. And Andrew Tate, I just wish the best for the brother. I wish that he would get released from his problems in Romania, go and live in a Muslim country. He's got the money and, just learn his deen and live his life and raise some family. Alhamdulillah.
To be honest, I've never seen tensions this high before, or groups that are usually and normally considered fringe becoming so mainstream. Why do you think the everyday English person, or the people that are getting caught up in this, why do you think they believe people like Tommy Robinson? Do you think it's just because they're not informed?
They are informed. They're just ill-informed. So when there's a problem in the country, you always see these problems coming up, like back in the day when it was a national front, when we had recessions, economic downturns, okay? And we have it now. And the very people that put you in that economic problem are the ones that blame other people for you being in it. It's a very easy tactic. Well, yeah, I know everything's crap. We've had austerity for 15 years or whatever it is. I don't know. The hospitals are on their backside. The police force is undermanned. But it's all their fault. It ain't us, the billionaires. We never done anything. And it's a very easy narrative to push. Tom Robinson's got the easiest job in the world when it comes to dawah. His dawah for his thing, because it's all about blaming someone else, no self-accountability and no responsibility. Whereas Muslims, you have to be humble, you have to be self-accountable, you have to criticize, you have to work on yourself. With them, it's just blame them over there. It's all the Muslims. Everything's their fault. It really is a simple argument that they're pushing, and simple arguments are effective. Yeah. If I haven't got a job, I can't get accommodation and this and that, and I've got all different problems, I can't see a doctor, I won't blame the government that hasn't funded the national health, or the people that are taking millions of pounds out of the national health on private contracts, and the 28 billion that went missing for track and trace for an app that nobody used for a vaccine no one really wanted. I will blame that bloke over there because he's a Muslim and he looks different. It's not a new thing. It's an old trick that they use. They're just very good at it, that's all. The Tommy Robinsons and the Nigel Farages are not that important. They're not the ones behind all this. We won't see the people behind it. I'm not going to say any names or anything like that, but if you want to know who's in charge, look at the people you can't criticise.
It's a scary time. And do you know what's sad about everything? Those 3 little girls that died in Southport and everybody that's losing their lives in Palestine every single day. It's devastating that these are the people that are suffering, and yet you have dimwits that are going out and causing riots over stupid things. The actual real people that are suffering are getting lost amongst all this rubbish.
Yeah, you think that's coincidental?
No, of course not.
People way smarter than us behind the scenes against us. An alliance of people out there that are very powerful, very rich, and know exactly how to manipulate and maneuver and gaslight people. They can't control the news that we put out on social media very much, but they can definitely turn your attention somewhere else. And Muslims, I think rightly so, are worried, paranoid. I'm paranoid, I'm worried. I don't like to see my country in riots and, race wars or religious wars. I just want to get on with people. But this is the way it's going to be. As long as we let the extremists in both sides do the talking, then we're always going to have an extreme situation. So normal Muslims and normal English people, and believe me, most normal English people are tolerant, decent, nice people. If they all had the views of Tommy Robinson and Nigel Farage, who's coincidentally married to an immigrant, no one would be here, because ultimately they would have got rid of everyone. But most English people, the quiet ones, they're not anti anything. They just want to be left alone. And they do have concerns about their culture being replaced by a foreign culture. Yeah, they do. And to some extent, we have to understand that. We have to acknowledge that. We can't just call them racist for that, because you can walk down certain streets in London and Luton and other towns, just all maybe Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Somali or whatever. It's just not white. It's understandable that these people might think, my God, we're losing our country. And then once they have those concerns, they're very easy to gaslight and to manipulate. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah.